Now, you may have heard about the big lawsuit happening in Missouri right now regarding agent commission. Just a little brief overview for those of you who may or may not know, realtors work on commission, 100% commission. They may work with someone for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 6 months, whatever, and they don't actually get paid unless the transaction, the purchase or sale of the property closes, escrow. That's what we call it. Now, typically, commission is built into the price of the property, and then it is split between two brokerages, the buying agent brokerage and the listing agent brokerage. And then those brokers will pay the agents. So real estate commission actually breaks down into 4 parts on every transaction, unless in California you represent both sides, which is a dual agency, which is completely normal to also have here in California. But this new lawsuit that is been lost by the National Association of Realtors and is going to wind its way through the courts is challenging how the payment structure is to the buyer's agent. The lawsuit claims that the commission structure is fixed and is not negotiable, and that it shouldn't be paid to the buyer's agent that way. So the question bears asking, how will buyer's agents in the future, if this does pass and come to California, how will they be paid for representing a buyer? At this moment in time, a lot of us aren't really sure how that's going to work out, because it looks like a buyer looking for a property would need to pay cash to a buyer's agent for representation. Not a lot of people have that cash or don't see the value in a buyer's agent. But I wanted to make this video really quick to remind you that the listing agent's first duty is to the seller. They sign a contract with the seller promising to do their absolute best to get the highest price and best terms from any and all buyers that present offers. So if you do not have a buyer representation for yourself, an advocate for yourself as a buyer, you're really working with the seller's agent. And depending on who you work with, it could be a big disadvantage for you. Now, when you use a buyer's agent as a buyer currently, it doesn't cost you anything because it is built into the price of the property. And the buyer's agent is an advocate just for you, making sure all the paperwork is correct, making sure the negotiation is the best that can be, and the terms on your time, on your side. So the buyer's agent works solely for you, and they are responsible to you, the fiduciary duty to you. They don't have the fiduciary duty to the seller. And if it were me, and a lot of people out there, they would say they would like their own advocate, particularly if it doesn't cost them anything, fighting for them outside of what the seller wants. Not using the seller's agent is actually hiring someone to advocate for you as a buyer. And what happens to the buyer's agent when commission is no longer available? I think you'll see a lot less buyer's agents, right? And to me, that sounds like a lot less buyer advocacy. That means buyers will have to deal with the listing agent and only the listing agent. And it will create a weird dynamic because the buyer will not have their own individual advocate, and they'll be looking and finding these homes on their own and kind of negotiating against a professional, if you think about it. Because the listing agent's going to have a vast amount of experience in negotiating and selling homes, and you, being the buyer, may have only bought or sold a few homes in your lifetime, and you're going to go in and negotiate against the seller's agent by yourself without any assistance. Well, if you ask me, it doesn't serve the public. It's very bad for consumers, and it will translate to the lower income people having zero representation because they probably are buying less homes, and then they have less practice buying homes. Perhaps more affluent buyers would pay the buyer's agent to represent them because they'll have the cash on hand. But the lower income first-time home buyers probably only have their down payment and will not be able to afford the buyer's agent outside of the transaction and will be forced to deal with the seller's agent. So that is trending right now. It is a possibility that that could happen. It is a case that was just lost in Missouri, and it's really going to impact, if it gets to California and it's not appealed or overturned, it will dramatically impact the service that buyers get when buying a home. So that's my 15 cents worth, and I hope that helps anyone that's seeing that big lawsuit that was just lost in court in Missouri, give some clarification to it. And also the reason I think it will negatively impact our industry, and overall it'll impact buyers' ability to purchase and get a fair deal with their own advocate. Thanks so much for tuning in to Tracy's Real Estate Talk, episode 238. Don't forget to follow me at Tracy Bryant Realtor on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.